Hey, Sharon. I can't remember who said it in the last live chat. I think it was Susie. Said to be or not to be? That is the question. That was a good discussion we were having. And I think it's an important discussion to have. I think it's really unfortunate that people are like arguing, you know? It's just like the case of Christopher Watts. It's like, why can't people just discuss the case and be respectful of other people's opinions on the case, you know? Nope, everyone has to fight. Hey, Pink Ladybug. I'm mixing up my little salad here. So I'll be muting off and on so that I can crunch. Hey, Kirsty. I clicked on the live chat and then I looked at the time and I thought, whoa, wait a minute. I should be hungry. So I grabbed one of my easy peasy salads out of the fridge. And sure enough, my dog is right here saying, give me some. Paula says it took forever to figure out what V stood for. That was kind of fun. So I don't know. I think there's so much information out there, right? There's so many different sources of information. We're hearing it from all directions. But what I want to hear more about that study. I want to hear about the natural immunities. I want to hear about, you know, I don't know. What I see in the headlines now, it's all about giving kids the vaccine. And I'm just like, what? Are kids getting sick? I don't know. Is that because of the new variant? If so, tell us. Please tell us, right? Are kids at a higher risk now than they were a year ago? Because it's the variant they're really worried about, or what? What's going on? We need to know. And I'm going to talk with my mouth full now. If the risk is so high that we need to start immunizing our children, then why do they have hundreds of kids in small spaces? Exactly. Just tell us the truth. And even if people have different opinions on what that is, right? We want to hear what's going on. We want it to make sense. We want some logic and reason applied. If it is so dangerous right now that kids need to be vaccinated, then why do they have gymnasiums full of hundreds of children? Why? And I'll tell you what we don't want to see. We don't want to see the sensational headlines. We don't want to see the fearful stuff. We don't want to be scared. We want to be informed. We want answers. Why is it okay for some schools to not be taking temperatures at the entrance every morning, but other schools are taking temperatures at the entrance every morning? Seems to me, if it's such a serious problem, which I do believe it is, if it's so serious that we're talking about vaccinating children, then why aren't we taking temperatures of all school children at the entrance? And here's another question. If this can be transmitted without any symptoms, then I guess the question is, what good is taking temperature anyway? Although I think it is a good idea to take temperatures at the entrance of every school. Because obviously, if a kid has a fever, then they need to be at home. Why are the shopping malls packed full of people? Packed full. The restaurants are packed full. Okay, which is great, right? We're back to normal, right? Are we? Is the danger over? Evidently not, because we're talking about vaccinating children. So if the danger isn't over, then why are the big box stores jam-packed full of people? Why aren't the clerks wearing masks that work? And I don't mean below the nose and some kind of homemade model, right? I mean quality masks. Why aren't the stores supplying quality face masks for the employees? I'm going to crunch again, so I'm going to mute. That's a cute one, little bit. Sing it, sister. We don't want to be motivated by fear. We want to be motivated by truth. Whatever the risks are, whatever the dangers are, we want to know the truth. We want to be able to determine for our own lives and for our families what precautions need to be taken based on truthful information. Mary says, hi all, everything. And where I live in the UK, they have told children to go to school with COVID. What? They're telling them to go to school sick? No way. Good question, Lilibet. Is there any truth out there? If they're telling kids to go to school with COVID, Mary, I don't know. I don't know. That is not consistent, right? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and Google here. What was it? Israel? I think it was Israel. Okay, science.org. I want to see how many people they were watching for that research. Let's see here. What? Intentional infection? What? Oh, like people used to do with the measles, remember? Or the chicken pox. Okay, I found this article on science dot something or other. Hold on. Okay, science.org. It says, and I'm quoting, the natural immune protection that develops after a blah, blah, blah infection offers considerably more of a shield against the you know what of the you know what than 2 doses of the Pfizer, according to a large Israeli study that some scientists wish came with a don't try this at home label. The newly released data show people who once had a blah, blah, blah infection were much less likely than never infected vaccinated people to get Delta, develop symptoms from it, or become hospitalized with serious blah, blah, blah. Okay. A couple of important things from reading that, okay? It's saying you're much less likely to blah, blah, blah. It isn't saying that you're protected from blah, blah, blah. In the same way that getting the vaccine does not protect you entirely from blah, blah, blah. But it sounds like the natural immunities and the vaccines are both highly effective in keeping it from being a very serious case. That's what it sounds like. Oh, you guys are commenting. Let me take a look here. Sorry. Daisy Day says, so glad my babies are all grown up. Mary says, yes, they say it's like a cold. Honest, I ain't lying. My 15-year-old and 13-year-old grandson were told this at their school. Art Linkletter. Art Linkletter. I like your name. Good thing it's not Christopher Watt's wife taking the temperatures. Jeanette says, hello all, I'm still trying to figure out what an aardvark is, apart from being an anteater. Okay, Jeanette, I'll give you a hint. If you want an aardvark, then you would go to an aardvark clinic, and at the aardvark clinic would be people who don't believe in aardvarks. They don't think people should have aardvarks, so they make posters and they walk up and down in front of the aardvark clinic saying that you're a murderer. And if you can't guess it from that, I can't help you any further. But even this article, it's kind of like, wait a minute. Give it to us straight. Give it to us straight. I want to know how many people they studied. I want to know exactly what the results were, right? I'm scrolling here. The study, conducted in one of the most highly blah, blah, blah vaccinated countries in the world, examined medical records of tens of thousands of Israelis. Wait a minute. I've seen other reports on this study that said millions, and this says tens of thousands. Here we go again. Why are we getting all this different information? Was it millions of people? Or was it tens of thousands of people? And that's a huge difference. It says charting their infections, symptoms, and hospitalizations between June 1st and August 14. Really? Because I saw another report that said it was for an entire year. So which is it? Okay, this physician says it's a textbook example of how natural immunity is really better than vaccination. She continues. Her name is Thalen something, Charlotte Thalen. She's a researcher on immunology. She says, to my knowledge, it's the first time this has really been shown in the context of blah, blah, blah. Still, she and other researchers stress that deliberate infection among unvaccinated people would put them at significant risk of severe disease and death, or the lingering significant symptoms of what has been dubbed the long blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I cannot imagine anybody intentionally trying to get infected. That just makes no sense. I mean, this is not the chicken pox we're talking about. So I have two questions. How many people did they study? Well, three questions. How many people did they study? How long was the study for? And wouldn't it be better yet then to have natural immunity and the vaccine? Seems to me it would. Does the vaccine take away from the benefits of having natural immunities? I bet not, but I don't know because I'm not a medical person. I'm chomping. Still chomping my salad. It's better than snoring, right? So the question begs, if there's a serious problem right now, which I think there is, then why aren't we getting the straight scoop? And why aren't we being told taken, right? Drive by the nearest mall. They're packed. Drive by the nearest restaurant. They're packed. Do you know who's vaccinated? Do you know who isn't? Do you have the right to know? I don't think you really have the right to know. But even if they're vaccinated, even if they're not, even if they have natural immunities or whatever, do you know if they are infected? No. Do they know if they're infected? No. Do they have symptoms? Maybe, maybe not. Yet we're finding that we have to immunize all of our children? What? People have to be immunized if their company where they work has over 100 employees? What? We just want it to make sense, right? We just want it to be logical. If the mall can be full of people, then why can't the job be full of people? I don't know. Do you hear anyone telling the retailers that they can't be open unless all of their customers are vaccinated? I hope not. Daisy Day says that's the problem. You'll never know if it messes with your immune system as it's not being properly tested. But I want to say something about that because I think a lot of us, myself included, I think we thought at first, oh my gosh, this is like a brand new thing. And so they're just beginning research. But in fact, they've been researching for decades. Like the whole mRNA thing, they've been researching that for decades. So I do think that they know more about these vaccines than what it felt like to us hearing about it on the news, right? Lilibet says Lady Justice, or no, last year all of the churches were closed. But here in Atlanta, all of the syrup clubs were open and packed. I have no idea what a syrup club is. I was invited to a bonfire today, and everyone was going to be able to have apple cider and cook dinner over the bonfire. And you know what? I actually decided not to go. I'm talking with my mouth full again. Because the stuff I've been seeing about the numbers of cases and everything, I'm like, nah, I'm going to hold off. I think for a few weeks even from doing stuff like that. And it's not that I don't want to go to the bonfire, I do. And it's not that I don't enjoy the people there, I do. But you know what? I'm going to be sitting right next to someone, a few someones. People hug. I hug. I'm a hugger. If the numbers are high right now, if the number of cases, right, then, and I know people say you're fine outside, whatever. I don't think so. I think if you're going to be hugging people, which I do, and if you're going to be sitting all close together, which that's what you do at a bonfire, it doesn't matter if you're outside or not. That's just my opinion. And I know that I'm more apt to be like overboard a little bit. But, if the numbers are going to get better in the next few weeks, I can wait for a bonfire. That's okay. All this talk is reminding me to take my vitamin D. Really? Shalina says the vet offered a shot for the dog. In December of 2019? Well, the coronavirus has been around forever, right? If you look on like your Lysol bottle, it's been fighting corona for decades. What are you guys talking about? Sharon says, Shalina, does Super Chats use PayPal? Please, I've never sent one. We don't do Super Chats here, Sharon. It's YouTube. Shalina says, that means they knew. No, the corona has actually been around for a long time. A long time. I mean, it's actually on the Lysol label, and it has been for years, that Lysol can help fight against the corona. Jack Russell says the common cold is a coronavirus. Oh my gosh, Sharon, no way. Really? Are you kidding me? Are you buying me a cup of coffee? You don't need to do that. You guys really don't. I feel kind of bad. But on the other hand, I'm like, oh, got a tip. So if the vet offered to do a shot for corona, then I think it's kind of like the Lysol fighting corona, you know? When I saw that on the label, because I had never heard the word before, except there was a car one time, I think, that was called a Corona. I'm not sure. Seems to me there was a Corona car, but maybe not. Coronado, maybe? No. I don't know. But when I saw it on the Lysol label, I thought, wait a minute, how did my Lysol label know about Corona? You guys are totally sweet. Totally sweet. So here's the thing. We want the truth. We want facts. We want to be able to discuss it. We want to be able to say vaccine, right? And not be worried that YouTube's going to go, what are they talking about? We're not interested in promoting any misinformation at all. We have questions. We want answers, right? And you know what I want? I want for people to stop fighting about whether or not you're vaccinated or whether you decide no, right? I don't understand how somebody who chooses not to be vaccinated is placing anyone else in danger. I don't understand it, because what we're being told, and who knows, right? Because we're being told a lot of stuff, but what we're being told is that the vaccinated and the unvaccinated can both get it. The vaccinated and the unvaccinated can both transmit it, whether or not they are showing any symptoms. So if they're able to get it and able to transmit, whether or not they have any symptoms, I think that the advantages that they're convincing us of, right, with the vaccine is that if you do get it, then you're less apt to have a severe, dangerous, terrible case of it. It doesn't mean you're not going to get it, right? Or does it? I don't know. Again, that's why we have questions and we want answers. We don't want to be freaking out about whether or not teachers can be working and nurses can be working and employees of companies with over 100 people can be working. We don't want this issue to be politicized. We want this issue to be a public health issue that we can all ask questions about and that we can all have reliable information on, right? We just want to know the truth. We want to know how at risk we are. We want to know how at risk our family members are. We want to know. We want it to make sense, don't we? We want it to make sense because I don't get how the malls can be full of people. I don't get how the school gymnasiums can be full of children. Because if it is so important for children to be vaccinated, then why are there children being put in gymnasiums with hundreds of other children? I mean, if you just do the numbers, right? Somebody in that gymnasium is probably, symptoms or no symptoms, probably infected, right? If you put 600 or 800 kids together in a gymnasium, or even 300 or 400 or 500, there's probably one infected. Who knows? Did they just go on vacation? Did they just go somewhere out of the country with their family? Did somebody, some relative from their family just arrive from some trip? Do we know? Yes, pink ladybug. Make it make sense. Exactly. And I think the only way for it to make sense is for us to be able to have conversations, to have discussions, the public square, where we can come to the public square and go, hey, what do you think? What's your opinion? Why do you think that way? If we can all learn a little something and ask questions and think, well, that's a good question. Never thought of it that way. And start thinking about it and stepping back from the how do you say that? From it being politicized. Stepping back from that. Stepping back from all of that crap. Because this is about our health. This is about our children's health. This is about our grandchildren's health. That matters more than whether or not you're a Democrat or a Republican. Kay Cooper says, herd immunity is the important thing to me. Okay, talk to me, Kay Cooper. So herd immunity is the important thing. So you want people to be vaccinated then? So then do you support the malls being full of people and the school gymnasiums being full of people then with everybody vaccinated? Kay Cooper said, no, I meant natural immunity. Okay, yep. And that's what I was talking about that thing out of Israel. But I'm getting conflicting stories about that because I heard in one that it was millions of people they studied. Now I heard from this one today, tens of thousands of people they studied. Well, which is it? Because that's a huge difference. Carol says, no government should mandate people to get a shot. That was created way too fast, or at all, I would say. I don't care how fast it was created. I don't think any government should be mandating anybody getting a shot, period. It's a medical issue, right? It would be like saying we're all going to be one religion, or, right? Yeah, it is. Welsh Truth Dragon says it's medical blackmail. I don't think it's up to the government to be making a decision that should be made by me and by my doctor, with the help of my doctor. And I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I want you to know that. I am not an anti-vaxxer at all. I'm an anti-vax if it's a vax that you don't need. Do you guys want to know the answer of whether or not I'm getting the vax? Well, I'm not telling you. That's why I say when I ask you about your opinion, only answer if you feel comfortable saying, because part of it that's so important, I think, the crux of it for me is we're told over and over again about HIPAA. We have a right to privacy, right? We have a right to privacy about our medical stuff. Then why don't we have a right to privacy about whether or not we're getting the vaccine? And, long ago, just my opinion, I think the insurance companies started practicing medicine, quite frankly. Because you know how that works, right? If your doctor prescribes something and they say name brand only, and then the insurance company says, no, they don't need name brand, it can be 6 weeks later before you're finally getting the name brand, and you may not even get name brand because the insurance company evidently knows better than the doctor how to practice medicine. Well, the same thing is going on with the vaccine. I think the vaccination issue, because that is between, just like the aardvark issue, and I'll go ahead and say the word for those of you who don't know what an aardvark means. It's just like the abortion issue. You can be against abortion all you want. So don't get one. But if a woman needs an abortion or thinks she needs an abortion, or for whatever her reason is, or if her doctor tells her she needs to get an abortion, that isn't anybody's business but the woman and the doctor, right? Yes, Shalina, my body, my choice. Your body, your choice, and in my opinion, your right to privacy on what that choice is. Your right to decide for yourself. And the abortion issue is a tougher discussion, but I think we'll all agree it's not up to the government to say yes or no. I think with the abortion issue, you do get into a different issue, right? Depending on your religious beliefs. And even then, if you're a staunch anti-abortionist, or that's the wrong word, if you're staunchly against abortion, God is in the abortion clinic too. God is there. There are Christians getting abortions. There are women of all faiths getting abortions. And their God is with them. So for those of you who fight on the religious grounds, I don't know. I think God is a loving God. And I think God does want his people to be safe and to know that he's there with them. And, maybe it is the same with the vaccines, right? What would Jesus do? But those are two separate issues. Speaking specifically about whether or not the government should be telling us what to do and knowing what we decided, right? I mean, that whole thing of having a card and needing to have your card, your immunization card, and keeping your card right on you. Really? We had, where I live, a governor who used the extended emergency whatever powers, and she kept extending and extending and extending the restrictions. And in one of those extensions, I saw these words, something along the lines of, at this time, we're not required to have our papers with us. At this time, we're not required to carry our papers with us. That should scare everybody. I'm not trying to, fearmonger or anything, but why would that have been included in that extension? At this time, we're not required to carry our papers with us. Really? Well, at what time are we going to be required to carry our papers with us? And what do those papers look like? Our vaccination card? Yeah, that sounds frightening, Carol. Is she okay? Is your daughter okay now? Welsh says, look at the documentary here on YouTube titled Vaccine, the Hidden Truth. Yes, Welsh Truth blah, tongue twister. Welsh Truth Dragon, that is an important point to make. Polio cases were dropping before the vaccination was introduced. And you know what I learned from an older friend? She's in her late 80s. No, she isn't. She's probably in her mid 80s. Nah, I think she's in her late 80s. Not sure. She told me that the measles cases were dropping before the measles vaccine came out, too. That must have been so frightening, Carol. So frightening. Yes, Sharon says, glad she's okay, Carol. My friend, I'm still trying to think how old she is because she sure doesn't look that old. I must be wrong. She must be in her late, I don't know. I'll stop guessing. But she told me that children were given a teaspoon of cod liver oil every day. And that there are many people who believe that it was the cod liver oil which actually got the measles problem under control. Here's another little twister here. Figure this out. Okay. So a school system all of a sudden says that if you're not vaccinated for measles, then you can't come to school because they have a measles outbreak. And then people start acting like it was the unvaccinated's fault, right? How is that the unvaccinated's fault? And why can't they go to school? Brooke says it's particularly hard on poor people who can't take time off work to recover from the second shot. The J&J Vax is a one shot, but it's out of stock everywhere. I think a lot of people chose the J&J because they're told that that one doesn't have the mRNA. Pfizer and Moderna both have the mRNA, but the J&J evidently doesn't. And remember, you guys, I'll say it again, I'm not a medical person. I haven't a clue what I'm talking about. I'm just as confused as you all are. But I did hear that the J&J does not have the mRNA. Welsh says, if the vax protects you, then why worry about the unvaxxed? If the vax doesn't stop you getting it or spreading it, why do you need it? I think the reason why you need it, Welsh, is because if you're unvaccinated and you get it, then the case can be much more severe. That's what I'm hearing 5 weeks ago, I heard from a highly trusted medical professional, face-to-face conversation. He's the top in his field, highly respected. He said that at that time they had 25 patients in the hospital, and all 25 of them were not vaccinated. Last week, I heard from another highly trained professional, highly respected in his field, face-to-face conversation. He said right now, the cases in, this is a different one than the other one. The two of them are friends, but it's a different one. He said that right now, the cases in the hospital are 20% vaccinated, 80% unvaccinated. So there are what they call breakthrough cases. So that's, I think, where the concern is how severe the case is. Carol brought up tuberculosis. And you know what? I heard this just the other day from a good friend of mine who lives out on the East Coast. Let me open a new window here. He told me, let me Google, hold on. He told me a really big number of people died from tuberculosis last year. And I'm like, what? I never heard anything about that. He said, nope, isn't that interesting? We haven't heard a word about it. So tuberculosis deaths 2020. Let's see. The World Health Organization. Oh, their goals for reducing the number of deaths. United States 2020. I want to see how many people died. Okay, here's a website called tbfacts.org. Information about tuberculosis. Okay, let's see what it says here. How many people die from tuberculosis? Many people die as a result of tuberculosis. The mortality from tuberculosis, that is the number of deaths, is that tuberculosis is the 10th leading cause of death worldwide. Tuberculosis is the leading cause from a single infectious agent, ranking above HIV. In 2019, an estimated 1.21 million people who were HIV negative died of tuberculosis. In addition, there were an estimated 208,000 deaths resulting from TB disease, tuberculosis, among people who were HIV positive. In 2019, there were an estimated total of 1,418,000 tuberculosis-related deaths. That's 1.5 million. That's a huge number of people. Welsh says that they say it stops you from becoming seriously ill. The chances are less than 1% of it becoming severe. I'm scrolling through the comments and I'm thinking to myself, wow, you guys, we talk a lot, right? Well, not that often lately because I've been kind of busy. I'm so sorry about that. But we talk a lot. We've talked a lot for a long time. Look at our opinions on this issue. Like, we are just on fire here talking about this. This issue needs to have discussion. We need to be able to discuss this openly and freely, and not in a situation where we're getting like yelled at or called names or anything. Brooke says that Big Pharma has their profit motive tentacles in everything health related. You know what I learned in my first semester of school? You guys know I was like a really old student, right? They call people like me non-traditional. I'm trying to think what class. I know the teacher. I know who he was. What was the class? The name of the class? Dang. I don't know. But he taught us that back in the day, I think it was in the 90s, that one of the pharmaceuticals invented the condition known as PMDD. That this is according to the college professor, that one of the pharmaceuticals invented the condition known as PMDD because they were losing the patent. Evidently, they can have like the exclusive right to whatever, pill if they have the 10-year patent on it or something for 10 years, right? And it was coming up to expire. And the only way they can extend their patent is if they can come up with a new condition that the same pill works on. And he said the professor's claim was that the pharmaceutical created the condition known as PMDD. My mom had babies and was a woman, with a monthly cycle before they invented PMS. I was having babies and I was a woman with my regular cycle before they created PMDD. I was a kid in grade school before they created ADHD. That's my opinion. Show me a kid with ADHD, I'll show you a kid who had a Pop-Tart for breakfast. Just my opinion. If there's a kid in a classroom who cannot focus, who cannot sit still, who cannot get their homework done, whatever, right? What did they have for breakfast? When I had a teacher confide in me that she learned at one of the best teaching colleges ever, she was a brand new teacher, and she learned at school at the best teaching college, at least in the state and probably in a few states, she was taught to watch out for those boys from a single parent home because they're the ones most likely to have ADHD. Are you kidding me? We have a whole bunch of teachers coming out of university with that belief? You got to be kidding me. What the hell does a single parent home have to do with whether or not a kid has ADHD? You have got to be kidding me. And kudos to her for telling me about the crap she learned, because she spotted it first year that it was BS. This was back in the 80s when ADHD was the thing. Except I think back then they were still calling it ADD. But one boy after another was written up. Do you know how simple the process was? How basic the process was? The teacher, who was no doubt taught at university that if it's a young boy from a single parent home, watch out, he probably has ADD, fills out a 1-page sheet of paper. Yeah, struggles with this, trouble with that. Yeah, stares out the window. Either gives it to the parent or sends it home with the kid to give to the mom or dad. And then they're supposed to schedule an appointment with the pediatrician, and then the pediatrician takes the recommendation from the teacher, and then poof, guess what? What do you think the next step is? Medicine. Tulips says so they could prescribe Ritalin. I sent you an email last week. Oh, yes. I totally forgot about it. Woo! I'm glad you're mentioning it. Let's see. How do I get to that window? It's here somewhere. I have to scroll down. I got this email out of the blue, and I read through it, and I'm like, yep, yep, yep. I agree, I agree, I agree. I'll try to find it here. Oh, I can't scroll it down. Come on. It won't let me scroll. Okay. Okay, I found it. I won't say who you are at all. I'm very good at that. Hello, Miss Mensa. I was wondering if you got my last email about what NA said SW neck surgery was for, DDD. I won't read the whole thing. Okay. I'll just hit the highlights here. Something didn't seem right when she first heard about this case. She saw the news interview on the porch, and he seemed like he didn't have a clue what was going on. I agree with you completely. In that interview, I actually believed him. And 3 years later, I think I might still actually believe that at that point, he still didn't know what the hell was going on. And when she first saw the photo of Bella, she wondered if she had cancer or something. She saw the sad look in her eyes. Her hair was so short. She seemed thin and very pale. Bella just didn't look healthy or happy. Like her mouth smiled, but her eyes didn't. Oh my gosh. That's profound. That's exactly the way I would describe Bella. Like her mouth smiled, but her eyes didn't. Okay, here we go. She put them all in order here. Okay, number 1. Christopher Watts only mentioned the scar on his wife's head when the police asked about any scars, yet didn't mention the neck scar. You would think he would remember a scar for neck surgery. What do you guys think? What do you think about that one? We'll take these one by one. He didn't mention the scar on the neck. Carol, I love your comment. You never gave it to him. So at the end of the year, her son was evidently told he had ADD or ADHD and given Ritalin. At the end of the year, she went to the meeting and all the teachers said, oh, he's doing so amazing. And she took the bottle out and said, F you to all of them. And you want to know something? You were very, very smart to wait until the meeting when they said, oh, he's doing so well. Because had you said no, had you stood up to them, they would have gotten nasty with you. I know one friend from back when my kids were in grade school, one friend's son she was told, or no, it was her daughter, that her daughter had ADD or ADHD, and she pulled her out and homeschooled her. Right then and there, she pulled her out and homeschooled her. Oh my goodness. Jelly beans, I'm so sorry. Our moms didn't know. Our moms didn't know. And that's what I kind of wonder about this whole thing about vaccinating everybody. We don't know, do we? I'm going to scroll up because I missed a few comments. Shalina says, I believe he is innocent, but I need to go feed my horse. Lots of love to everyone. This is my favorite subject. I love it. I need to go feed my horse. Only in our group. You know it. You know this is the only live chat where somebody actually has horses. You just know it. MJ says, Miss Mensa, I truly don't believe that God will stand next to the lady that's having an abortion. The 10 Commandments is thou shalt not kill. Well, MJ, I do believe that God is standing with a woman who is having an abortion. In my opinion, I believe that only God knows the woman's heart. Only God knows what's going on in the woman's life. Only God knows whether or not her life is in danger if she doesn't get an abortion. Only God knows the pain that she's feeling, the confusion, the fear. I don't think God abandons his children at any time, at any moment. Jeanette agrees that Christopher Watts had no idea when he was interviewed on the porch. Welsh Truth Dragon says rectal temps daily, lots of Tylenol, hospital constantly, force them to be on live chats. Say hi. Say hi, Bella. Bella, say hi. Hold still, CZ. Gotta take your picture. So what if you're falling head first down the stairs? So don't you think it's interesting that Christopher Watts never mentioned the neck scar? That seems kind of weird. Like maybe could it be she never had surgery? And you know, the autopsy never mentioned the neck scar either. I am of the same opinion that you are, Tulip. I think that court hearing was more than she could take. So that's definitely a suspicious one. Now I'll click back to the email and see number 2. NA said the surgery was for DDD. That stands for degenerative disc disease. Yet Christopher Watts' wife's own parents didn't know what this apparent neck surgery was for. Isn't that interesting? I'll go to number 3. Christopher Watts' wife's dad said that Christopher Watt's wife had a narrow throat as a child that she may have needed surgery for, but it fixed on its own. Didn't Christopher Watt's wife say Bella or Cece had a narrow throat as well? Well, I'll tell you, my response to that is this. Cindy Watts told me herself that she told her daughter-in-law about her dog, Cindy's dog, having some kind of a spinal issue. And just a few days later, her daughter-in-law claimed that Dieter had the same condition. Cindy Watts told me herself that she told her daughter-in-law that when Christopher Watts was small, he had a blocked tear duct. And a few days later, Christopher Watts' wife said that Cece had a blocked tear duct too. Number 4, the rectal temperatures. If that was Christopher Watts taking daily rectal temps, he would have been accused of assaulting the girls. Exactly. I agree completely. Who takes rectal temperatures of a 4-year-old? Who takes rectal temperatures daily? Okay, let's see here. Number 5, all of Christopher Watts' wife's, quote, health challenges. Now, where do we begin? Ugh, she did not have lupus. Lupus is not diagnosed with one test. Lupus cannot be cured or put into remission. People with lupus have symptoms and lots more. Infertility. Yeah, right. Yet she got pregnant 3 times within 5 years. That is not fertility issues. I'm reading from the very well-written email. Like I said, when I saw this, I was like, yep. High-risk pregnancy. Yet she didn't see a doctor. 15 weeks pregnant. And she only went in for a vanity gender scan. High-risk pregnancy with multiple health challenges, yet when spotting and cramping, she did not go to the emergency room. She was out of network? Yeah, okay. And then she points this out too. What about the friends? Why didn't anybody in Christopher Watts' wife's life say, go to the emergency room? Why didn't they say, go to the doctor? Why didn't they say, why haven't you gone to the doctor? I asked this question in a previous live chat. How long would she be your friend? Personally, if I had a friend who was 15 weeks pregnant and didn't go to the doctor, I don't think we'd be friends. I don't. I'm sorry. My friends went to the doctor for prenatal care. I cannot imagine keeping somebody as a friend if they were that careless with their baby's health. Fibro. She guarantees that people with fibro will not and will never do 90% more than every other woman out there. Chronic pain is debilitating. There's no way. Even to surf on the internet or making and posting videos. Neck surgery. NA said it was for DDD. Nothing mentioned on autopsy about the scar. Nobody else knew what the surgery was for. And lots more. The children, always sick at the same time? Did they miss any date? What? I don't know what this says. Did they miss any date something after they visited the hospital the night before? Did they ever miss daycare? Oh, daycare. Okay. Did they miss daycare after they were at the hospital? Did they ever miss daycare? Were they ever sick at daycare? Yeah, notice how they were sure looking healthy in the 5 weeks that she was in North Carolina, right? Did she put something in the breathing machine? The autopsy reports on the girls said they were both healthy. Why did the girls sleep for 12 hours a night? Drugged, lots of Tylenol. Tylenol and Benadryl, according to Cindy Watts. One of the girls had diarrhea for weeks at a time. She would have been dehydrated and would have needed to stay in the hospital. The girls were used as props. She medically abused them, and the evidence is in her own videos and on her own social media posts. And then the issue of the way she treated them. Look at that Christmas video. Look at the water in the eyes video. Look at the whack-a-daddy video. The way she spoke to them. The way she did not listen to them. Bella was hungry. Oh, you want a laptop? The threat, you need a haircut? The inappropriate videos and pictures. Who posts a photo of her child trying to stick something, pretending like she's taking her own rectal temp? And then she says, honestly, this list could go on. Maybe I could come onto a live and talk about this after discussing her health challenges. Ooh, that'd be fun. There's a whole bunch here about NA, asking about whether or not she was going to be arrested, who drove who to the airport. Yes, HG Tudor is amazing. His video, Knowing the Narcissist, is a really good video. And he's doing a lot of really good work on the Harry and Harry's wife routine, too. Okay, now I'm going to find StreamYard. There we are. Okay, I'm back. So isn't that interesting? I'll go ahead and drop the link, too. I'm sorry. I should have read through it first. I read through it a couple weeks ago now, I think it's been. Okay, copy and paste. There we go. Come on up. You're the next contestant on The Price is Right. I know, I love him. I love him, Welsh Truth Dragon. He's funny. He's like, yeah, because we don't care. He's so dry. Yeah, we don't care. Really, we don't care. Jeanette says the SW was physically well, but mentally is another story. Yes, you click on the link. And then when you click on it, you'll come up on what they call backstage. And then if you want, you can mute whatever, what they call it, and put up a picture, which is really better to do with all the weirdos. Oh. Then I don't know. Because usually when you click that link, then it takes you right up to the backstage. Jelly Bean says it is true. It is so true that Bella's eyes were never happy but full of worry. I know, fear and sadness. I love that in that email, though, that her mouth might smile, but her eyes were not, right? Good. It's always good to have a fella who knows more than you. Tulip says that she was encouraged. Her behavior was encouraged. I think that she did have problems as a child. And I think that, well, you guys know my opinion. I think she was mentally ill, and I think her mental illness showed up when she was an early teen. I think she was on disability. And I think Christopher Watts didn't know anything about it until her 32nd week of pregnancy with Bella. I think that's when the truth came out, and he realized he was married to somebody with a severe problem. Yes, Carol, I think it's very sick. Very sick to be posting a picture like that when, it's obviously posted by the same person who was taking rectal temps on a daily basis. Talk about sick. Do you guys hear the birds? I'm inside the house too, but there for a second they were kind of loud. I'm so glad you guys came back for the second half of the live chat. Sorry about hopping off so fast, but you know me. When my phone rings, I answer it. Sandy says, love the birdies. Cosmos says, in my opinion, when the time is right, all of this will be uncovered. I agree with you. It might be a year, it might be 10 years, I don't know. But I do think people are going to start talking. Carol hears them chirping. I agree with you, Cecile. I agree. I think it's interesting. You can usually learn about people by how they treat their pets. And I think she had a little bit of a disdain for the dog, just as she seemed to have for the children. That's a good point, Sharon. I don't know any son-in-law who's going to happily take a phone call from his in-laws every single night. I think during the police interview, his father-in-law said to check on the girls every night. But that would fit with the theory that she was actually mentally ill. Oh, good, you're up, Welsh Truth Dragon. Okay, let's see here. Now you're up on the screen. Can you hear me?
Hi. Yes, I can hear you.
All right. Welcome.
Hi. Am I echoing?
Do you have YouTube open?
I'm not. I think I'm on something called Safari or StreamYard. I'm not very good with technology.
You came to the right place. If you have a YouTube open, then you'll hear echoing.
It's open in the background, but I can't hear it. I don't know if you guys can.
If you can close your YouTube, then that'll make it not echo.
Right, 2 seconds. I'll try and do that now. If it goes off, I'll hop back on. I'm just not.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, hang on.
Daisy Day says, did that dog ever get out for a walk? Are you talking about my dog or somebody else's Daisy Days? My dog went for a walk this morning. Did you get it turned off or no?
I think so. I think it is. Can anybody else hear an echo?
I don't hear an echo.
No, I don't either. Yeah.
Okay, good. So you wrote all of that out, like the bullet points?
Yeah.
And as I read it, I was just like, yep. Uh-huh.
I know.
Yep. It's like there are so many things about this case that are absolutely BS.
It's so strange, isn't it? Like when I first seen the case, because I live in the UK, I said to my granddad, I said, you know, them kids, like there was just something not right. The whole porch interview, he just didn't seem like he knew what was going on. And I said, like, he doesn't seem like he's acting right, but he just didn't see. He just seemed like he just didn't know what was going on. And the kids looked, Bella looked so sad, like she really, really did.
She
And I,
did,
mhm.
and you know, people always talk like Cece was so normal and healthy and running around, and she had such an outgoing personality.
Mhm.
When I saw the first few videos, I thought to myself, does anybody like does anybody see that she seems a lot younger than her chronological age?
Yeah, I think they both did. I
Yes.
mean, I haven't looked into the case like what you guys have. I've just most of the stuff I've noticed has been on SW, just her behaviour, her posts, what she'd done, the way she acted was just so bizarre, just really, really
Exactly.
bizarre.
Exactly. And I think that people are shy to say that they might think that both girls were developmentally delayed.
I think they were mind. I really do. I mean, I'm not a medical professional or anything like that, but they seemed this did seem delayed, you know, and I don't know if that was. I mean, all Shannon used SW used to do was be on lives, and the kids were just like props. It was just really sad to see.
Well, in my opinion, you know, Cece turned 3 in July of 2018.
Hmm.
I would say that she acted more like a 1.5 year old. And
Yeah,
and Bella was 4. She was turning 5 in December of 2018, right? So
yeah.
at the time of her death, she was, you know, 4 months below, you know, almost 5. But to
She
me,
didn't act five. She didn't.
she seemed like a 3 year old.
Yeah, the way she spoke, even like it didn't seem like the way a 5-year-old would speak, and she seemed so shy. She wasn't like a typical 5-year-old. I mean, I've got a nephew, and when he was 5, I mean, he, he wasn't shy and looked so sad and looked as though he had the weight of the world on his shoulders. It was just.
Yes, that's the way to say it right there. I
Mhm.
think Bella did have the weight of the world on her shoulders. And I think that she and Cece both, well, speaking of just their vocabulary,
Mhm.
Cece didn't even talk.
It was
She was
strange,
3
wasn't
years
it?
old and she didn't even talk.
Really, really strange. Like in the, I can't remember what I've put in the email to you. In fact, if I get my phone, I'll be able to. I've just got the kettle and I'm making a cup of tea. I'll get me mobile and then I'll be able to read the email and go through. Yeah, sure. Sorry, that's just me fella asking if the back door was shut because the cats will escape. Um,
Yeah, I left off right at the part where you were talking in the email about NA, all the
she,
different stuff about NA.
there's something. I think she knows a lot more than what she lets on. I really do. She said in a she said the surgery was for a degenerative disc. Now Shannon SW's own parents didn't know what that surgery was for, which I found really strange. You'd think if anybody knew what the surgery was for, it would be Chris and it would be our parents.
I would think, and if it was such a serious situation that she had to have a nurse move in for a
Exactly.
month and a half, then it sure seems to me that she would have been, you know, very clear on what the condition was. And also, she never mentioned it, as far as I know, before the surgery. All of a sudden, she had surgery. Well, usually,
Exactly.
if you have to go in for some kind of a neck surgery, you're in physical therapy. You're
Mm-hmm.
hoping that you don't have to have surgery. You're doing everything you can do to avoid having to have surgery, right? You're
Yeah.
talking about it, and you're also
Mm-hmm.
limiting your activity by just you know, just the fact
Yeah.
that your neck evidently has pain or something.
Well,
Well, there was
my dad has got degenerative disc disease, and he's got it in his upper neck, like his spine, and he was actually, I don't know if it's the same in the States, but he was prescribed OxyContin for the pain after he had that surgery. So
Oh,
whether,
ho, ho.
yeah, whether SW knew somebody else who'd had surgery, because she did like to, you know, copy other people's illnesses or jump on bandwagons. So that's always stood out to me when people mention the oxy and the oxy that was in the basement. I know my dad was given oxy for his disc when he had surgery, and the surgery, degenerative disc, I mean, it won't get better. It gets worse, and it's not normally one disc that's just affected by it. I mean, that was my dad's case anyway. But it
Well, and
just
if
does.
you look at the video where she's wearing that neck brace, I don't think the neck brace is fitted properly. And I also don't think anybody who just had neck surgery is going to be whipping her arms up in the air to put a rubber band in her hair.
No, and I'm not even sure my dad was given a neck brace, but after he had the surgery, he had to have rods put in. I don't know if they actually replaced the whole disc, because I don't really speak to my dad much. Just while he was going through that surgery, we got closer. But after he had that surgery, even now, and this was about, he had the surgery about 5 years ago, after that surgery, he still hasn't got full movement in his neck because of the hardware that they put in. You can't move your neck the way you could before.
Right. And she was bouncing her neck all around, even with a
Exactly.
neck brace on.
Exactly.
Yes.
It's just.
And here's the thing. Here's the thing. A month or a month and a half with a nurse leaving her family and coming up to move right in. What if my theory's right that she was mentally ill? What if my theory was right that she was mentally ill since she was a 12-year-old little girl? What if my theory is right that every once in a while she had a pretty serious episode that required that she stay with a nurse or that a nurse stay with her?
Mm-hmm.
You know, maybe she did something. Maybe she had a self-inflicted injury, and maybe the storyline they came up with to cover for her
Mm-hmm.
was that she
Mm-hmm.
had some sort of a neck surgery, and
Because
maybe they
insurance wouldn't pay out if she'd killed herself or harmed herself. The insurance wouldn't pay out. So it's just really really bizarre. Like I just there's so
well,
many things about this case that's just so
if
bizarre.
there's a friend, a nurse who moves right in and stays for a month, why? The kids were in daycare. She had a husband. She
Mm-hmm.
wasn't working. What
Mm-hmm.
if it was his? If they released her from the hospital and she
Mm-hmm.
actually did have a surgery, then obviously, as an adult person, she should have been able to have handled it. Well,
Exactly. She mentions all these health challenges, which there's that many to list. I mean, I'm forgetting most of them. If she had all these health challenges, she used to go away on these Thrive trips. She doesn't to cancel any of them, and anybody that suffers with chronic pain or health issues or even mental health issues will know, even if you make plans, if you're feeling bad on that
exactly.
day, you end up cancelling them. And she never seemed to cancel these Thrive conventions, which I always found strange
Exactly.
considering she had so many health challenges.
Exactly right. And she went to concerts, she planned way
Mm-hmm.
ahead of time to go to concerts. Well, I'm sorry, if you have lupus and fibromyalgia,
Mm-hmm.
you're probably not wearing those shoes that are in that shoe closet to one of those concerts. You're just not. Because on
Mm-hmm.
the day of the concert, you're not going to be for sure, right?
Especially with
Feeling whatever.
fibro, you're
And
not going to be wearing high heels, stood in high heels at a concert. Yeah.
exactly. And the whole idea that she was in remission, I guess she told two different people that she was cured. Like, really? I think she was mentally ill, and I think all of those health challenges were a
In her
result
head,
symptoms
honestly.
of her mental illness. I think she was
Mm-hmm.
delusional, and I think she
Yeah.
told stories. And
Yeah.
I think that when she had that neck surgery, I think she self harmed. I
Mm-hmm.
think she was probably hospitalized for a short period of time after
Mm-hmm.
self harming. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that then they lined up someone who probably was paid for by the state
Mm-hmm.
to observe her, to be there so she wouldn't harm herself. Because why on earth was NA told to check the knives?
That's and why didn't the police ask? Why is the mother asked you to check the knives? I still don't get that. Or even,
Exactly.
and another thing is, if it was just random that SW's mum said, check the knives, and I've heard people say, well, she was saying check the knives in case there was an intruder, or check the knives, she was just saying check the knives. If it was NA, if you were NA and someone said to you randomly, check the knives, wouldn't you say, why would I need to check the knives?
Yes, I would be curious. But think about this. If she self-harmed back when they were promoting the idea that she had some sort of neck surgery, if she actually self-harmed, the police would have already been familiar with that house.
Yeah, and she was, they were classed as endangered missing, weren't they? Why, if SW had mental health issues, she would be classed as endangered, but if she was a danger to others, the children would be then classed as endangered, and they were.
The children were classified as endangered, and so was she.
Yeah.
And if she didn't have mental health issues, then why was she classified as endangered?
Exactly.
So, yeah, I mean, I think it just makes total sense that she was a mental. I think the police were well aware of her history. And I think that probably the police, knew a lot more than it looks like.
Yeah. There's just so many unanswered questions, and the whole spotting and cramping. And she's got all these health challenges, and she's a high risk pregnancy. If I'm pregnant now, I'm 8 months pregnant now. I'm a high risk pregnancy. And I'm telling you now, if I was spotting and cramping, there would be nothing keeping me away from going to a hospital. Whether I was in network, out network, had insurance, didn't have insurance. I mean, we've got NHS over here. But,
well, and that whole network thing is baloney, because by that time in 2018, there's no way any emergency room in the country would have. We had a lot of changes with our medical insurance and the way it's set up with the healthcare.gov and everything. There's no way in H that she wouldn't have had that emergency room visit covered. No way. It's a total BS.
Yeah, is it the same over? Because as I say, I'm in the UK. I don't know if it's the same in the States, but like an emergency room, they've got a duty of care to look at someone, especially if they're pregnant. Like, you say if you came into this country and you didn't have insurance here, or even if you're an illegal immigrant over here and you went to the emergency room here, the doctors have a duty of care to look at someone, especially if they're pregnant. And she says she's high risk. It's just
exactly. And he had a good job and he had good insurance. So that is total bullshit. And here's the other thing. Did she ever care about the bills? No. She didn't even, like $70,000 in debt, and they walked away from it. Student loans, they walked away from it.
Exactly.
The HOA dues, they walked away from it. They were being sued for HOA dues unpaid, right? Yeah. And she never, did she ever care about the bills? No.
Exactly. So there's no way she can use that excuse as, oh, I'm out of network. That's why I didn't go to doctors, because she wasn't paying the bills anyway. And even if you were out of network, you'd go and think, I'll deal with that later because the health of my baby is much more important than getting the bill through. I'm probably not going to pay anyway.
Exactly. It's total BS. And I question who would want to be her friend? Who would ever want to be her friend if she said, oh, I'm spotting and cramping, but I can't go to the emergency room because I'm out of network? That would be the end of our friendship right then and there.
It's just shocking. I can't believe that none of our friends, was she spotting and cramping when she was in North Carolina on this Thrive trip?
Right, spotting and she was spotting and cramping in North Carolina. So then she goes to Myrtle Beach for the week, right? Well, if you're spotting and cramping, you're probably not going to be heading to Myrtle Beach for the week.
No.
Then they fly back, and then she goes to Arizona. Like, I'm sorry, she had time. As soon as she got back in network, she should have been into her doctor.
And everyone's saying that NA is such a good friend. Well, she's obviously not that much of a good friend. She didn't drag her to the emergency room and make her get safe when she's spotting and cramping with all these health challenges in a high-risk pregnancy. That has baffled me.
Do you think maybe she was a paid caregiver?
I don't know. I haven't really looked into the case much, but something's just not right about it. She didn't know her age. She knew. I don't know. She knew
That's a really
things
good
about
point.
our medical health.
That's a really good point. If they're friends, why wasn't she even aware how old she was? Because she said, I don't know, in her 20s or 30s. In her 20s. Yeah, she's in her 20s when she looks like she's 40,
It wasn't even the right decade, for God's sake.
Exactly.
Like,
And then too, she got married that summer, and she got married during her 6-week break from,
yeah.
I think she was a paid caregiver myself. That's my
Yeah.
opinion.
So who would the state pay for that, or would that be something that the family would do, or I don't know how it works over there. I know
No,
that it's
no, the government would.
yeah,
If she was
it's
on
quite popular.
disability, there would have been monies available for helping with paying the caregivers, and
Yeah,
monies available for helping to pay for daycare. There would have
yeah,
been all sort. I think she was probably very keen on how to get whatever programs were available.
yeah. That's what it's like over here. If someone's on like if someone has a disability, someone can claim carers allowance for them.
Yep,
Um, but as well, if I mean, if she was on a disability or was claiming disability, would would that cover any of our medical
yes,
insurance or anything?
yes,
Yeah,
she would have been fine.
yeah.
Yeah, she would have been fine. And I think that probably she was, even when she had her house in North Carolina.
Mm-hmm. It's just so bizarre. Like, I honestly, really do think she was a compulsive liar, and and I'm only saying this because of what's come out of her own mouth, and what's the autopsy proved it. You know,
Exactly.
them kids were always in hospital, always in
But
hospital.
and
They
here's
didn't
the
get
other
any
part of it.
daycare.
Here's the other part of it. That close friend Jeremy Lindstrom, he said in an interview that he did not believe that any of her health challenges were physical.
And
So
I
you have
believe that, yeah.
a close friend saying that, and everyone ignoring it. It's like, okay, if she had
Mhm.
mental problems, then obviously nobody has lupus, fibro, endo,
No.
fertility issues, high risk pregnancies, celiac disease. I can't think of all of them. You know
Exactly. And if they did, they wouldn't be jetting off going to Thrive conventions and going out and not cancelling
exactly,
one thing. It just doesn't add up. It really, really doesn't add
exactly,
up.
exactly right. Hey, Welsh, do you mind if we let somebody come up? Somebody's saying that
Yeah.
I've never heard of them before, but they're saying they have a lot to say. So I
Oh.
don't know. It's Chantal or something.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll give you a chance, Chantal. Let's see here. I won't. I won't dink around if they're just whatever.
I've seen some of the people that's been up on a few of your lives, and I mean, the rectal temperatures that SW took. If that was Chris doing that, people would have been accusing him of all sorts, and that's
Exactly.
a fact. A
They would have
fact.
called him a pervert. They would have
Yeah.
called him mental. They would have called him a sicko, a psycho, all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
Oh,
Exactly.
it was just the overprotective mother. Yeah,
No,
whatever.
that was the Munchen by proxy. I can't say the word. It's
Ooh,
she definitely had that. Definitely. I really, really believe
I think
she
she
had
was a
that.
mental. I do.
Yeah.
I think she had mental problems.
Yeah.
Okay. I see you backstage. Um, the camera's going all over your car. So, do you want to like upload a picture or upload an icon or something? Well, I can see it. Can you see it on your thing or no?
No, I can't. I can't see anything on
Okay.
mine. And I just think it's really, really strange how, like, it was SW's dad says that she had a narrowing of the throat that might have needed surgery, but it fixed on its own. And then one of our daughters had that, and it's just it. I don't know. I really think that she was probably took to the doctors a lot when she was younger herself. Got all this attention, and it just continued in adulthood with her.
Right. And I don't even know if it may have just been her language. Like,
Hmm.
I think it just like she liked to play pretend,
Yeah, yeah,
and I think it just may have been her way of existing, I guess. Okay, I don't know what your name is, the person backstage. Do you want to put an icon or a photo up? Because we don't want the thing to be swirling all over the place. There you go. You want to leave it that way?
Yes, that's Sandy G's just said about, wasn't it a friend
Okay.
who diagnosed her with low blood sugar and diabetes? I mean, how on earth did anyone diagnose her with
Exactly.
diabetes? You need a blood test. It's
Exactly right.
ridiculous.
There's no way she had diabetes. And why on earth did the neighbor feel compelled to rush right over to
No.
tell the officer that she had
Yeah,
diabetes? How would he have known? I mean, come on, right?
exactly. There's just so much stuff. This is so bizarre.
So we have a guest. What is your name?
What is my name? My real name?
No, just whatever name you want us to call you.
My pretend name. You can call me Chantal.
Chantal?
I have so many things that I think about this whole entire situation. Nothing has made sense from the get-go.
Okay, Chantal.
Yeah.
Will you turn your thing to blank?
To blank. How do I do that?
I don't know. Or upload like an icon or something.
I think there's a button where you can press cam off, and then it'll bring up like your YouTube icon. Oh, I think she's gone. I think she might have clicked out like what I did the first time by mistake.
I'll click on the three little things and see if... No. Okay, good. Let's try it again. Oh, nope, it went back. No, it was when you were backstage, but not now. But anyway, okay, go ahead. We'll ignore it. Nobody look at Chantal because it'll make you dizzy.
I'm sorry. I'm delivering groceries and working, and I heard this, and the Chris Watts case has just fascinated me from the get-go. And it not only does it fascinate me, it terrifies me.
Yeah.
Because
why does it terrify you?
It terrifies you because you look at Chris Watts and you think, I can't imagine a man like that doing that to his children. You saw the connection he had with them. You saw the love he had. You saw the care he gave them. It just something's just not right.
And the video, the My Daddy's a Hero video, wasn't My Mommy's a Hero. They sung about the dad, but I think all them videos were staged by SW.
Well, and if you look at all of the videos, he is the one who's doing the primary caregiving for those children. You can see
around the house.
They look to him for comfort. They look to him for reassurance.
Exactly, Chantal. Definitely pay attention to where you're pointing your camera, or your phone or whatever, because this whole
yeah.
They look for landmarks and whatever. The fact that you're hopping up on the panel, they might be going, oh, who's that? We've got to find out who that is, So definitely,
that's pretty sad if you can't speak about something that I'm a parent and I have children, and this is a concern of mine that these people there are people like this everywhere. And if you're not concerned about it and you're not questioning this case, you might need to reevaluate some things.
What do you mean concerned about Christopher Waltz all of a sudden turning monster, you mean?
No, I don't believe that he all of a sudden turned monster. I don't believe that for a second. I don't believe it for a second. I do believe she had a lot of mental illnesses. A lot of mental illnesses. And I'm not a doctor, I'm not a psychiatrist, I'm not anything. I'm just a person who has, my own struggles. But I don't know. It's just always that from the minute I saw it, I just thought something just doesn't ring right with it. And the cover up of all of it, everything just.
I know it. We've been lied to so many times too. It's like, why are we being lied to over and over again?
Exactly.
Well, we have been told we'll never know the truth because people like us don't know the truth.
Yes, they don't tell people like us.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm an intelligent enough person that I can look and see. I have 2 eyes and 2 ears, and I can see. Wait a minute. There's some discrepancies here. This is not about Chris. This is about these children. This is about these two innocent children that lives were taken.
Chantal, since the beginning of this case discussion, I think we've been about the only channel that has discussed the kid.
And I've listened to them all. I've listened to every one of them because
it's all about how Christopher Watt's wife was so inspirational. Really?
Yeah, exactly.
She was so beautiful. Really? She was so smart. She was so successful. She was so this. She was so that. She was broke. Her husband was in love with another woman. There was a court hearing coming up for some sort of ongoing family matter. She was about to lose her home, it sounds like. She didn't have a car even in her name. And I have a feeling all those MLMs were about to fall by the wayside because I think all of her charge cards were maxing out.
That's what I don't understand is I don't know how they can say she was so successful and all this when she'd already claimed bankruptcy once and there's proof of how much debt she was actually in. So that's debunked straight away.
That and if somebody would have taken a step back and said, okay, let's assess the situation. You've gone through bankruptcy multiple times. Let's try to. I feel incredibly sad that she had to live the life that she did because she was in turmoil, and.
But do you not think she caused half of that herself, though? Like,
absolutely. I think that comes with the mental illness. You do things that you wouldn't normally do if you were. Do you know what I mean?
I think that an important discussion could be had if people were honest about this case and say, okay, if a bunch of us on social media can take a look at those videos and go mental illness, then what's happening? Are people who have mental illness being properly cared for? Are they being properly supervised? If they commit crimes, are they being properly prosecuted for the crimes they're committing?
Exactly.
I'm sorry, giving your kids lots of Tylenol? I don't think so.
That blows my mind that was not a red flag to anybody.
Exactly.
Benadryl and Tylenol every night, and the picture of her with the thermometer. I mean,
exactly. Where's the safety net for the children? And at what point does mom's mental illness? Why does mom's mental illness override the need for the children to be safe?
Exactly. And like you said too, we can take this is a horrible tragic event, but we can take this as okay, it's okay if you're a mom and you're struggling and you need to speak out and you need help. It's okay. I think that's really what the message should be is that speak out if you are struggling. It's okay. It is okay.
Exactly. Let's take a look at what services need to be available and provided in order to make sure the kids are safe. And if it means that you remove the kids, if dad doesn't want to leave with the kids and protect them, okay, then those kids, I'm sorry, need to be taken. They need to be taken. Maybe if Chris Watts was told that the kids were going to be taken, maybe he would have left her a year before or 2 years.
I just think everybody just loses sight of that, and I'm the anger that people get over you stating you're clearly thinking things through. You're not just listening to what people say and you have your own mind, and for some reason that's a bad thing.
And even when you're pointing out things that SW done herself, you get attacked for pointing them out, and it's clear for anyone to see because they're in videos.
Well, and I think we are all human beings, and she was suffering, and that breaks my heart. That's tragic. She shouldn't have had to suffer like that, but to lay all of that on Chris Watts, what
I think about is that Bella and Cece shouldn't have had to suffer like that, and I think
they shouldn't have. They should not.
The social media posts that we've been discussing, I'm shocked that those children were not protected.
I mean, if they were the posts that she put online, she must have thought that they were okay to post. So what on earth was going on posts that she thought, I'm not going to post that. That might look a bit wrong or bad. Like that's the scary thing.
Or did she just not have that filter or that sensor that says, hey, that's not a good picture to post,
no,
especially when it comes to your children.
I think it was all about the whole MLM thing is all about image, and she wanted to portray this image. So I think image was really important to her. So I think she thought about what she posted, and the fact that she thought that was okay to post things that what she did is just really worrying. And she says the girls, she's posted how ill the girls were, how they needed surgery and all this. Yeah, if your children have got asthma, you wouldn't be giving them lots of Tylenol at night, and you wouldn't be putting them in the crib with a blanket or leaving them locked in their rooms and sleeping for 12 hours, then sending Chris up at 12 o'clock at midnight to give them midnight snacks. And another thing I realised was, do you know, in the interview that the female police officer done with Chris Watts, she said this was when they were just missing. She said to him, "You're not with your children. You're not tucking your girls in or giving them the midnight snacks." At that point, they were only missing. How did she know that Chris used to give the girls midnight snacks?
Yeah, that's a good point. Because it's pretty much assumed that Chris was the primary caregiver.
Yeah, but that only came out. That wasn't even known then, that the girls were put to bed at like 6 o'clock, and then Chris had to go and give them midnight snacks at midnight.
Yeah, that came from Cindy.
Yeah.
You know what really bothered me about the entire situation is the fact that they never once gave that man any type of like psychological evaluation, any kind of mental evaluation until after he confessed him. Is that right? Am I right on that? I'm pretty sure that's the case.
I'm not sure.
This man said, would you know?
Well,
Did they give him any kind of a psychological evaluations beforehand to make sure that he was even cognizant or not even in a state of trauma?
well, there are different levels of evaluations, and I think if they did do any sort of psych eval, it would have only been to determine whether or not he could take part in the court process.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have been an all full-blown intensive, psych eval about whether or not he was a battered husband who was suffering. If he was a woman,
Yeah.
Yeah.
just imagine how it would have been handled differently. If he was a woman,
totally different.
we would be wanting to know how badly he was treated. We would be pointing at those videos saying that that poor person was in an abusive relationship and deserves to have our support.
We would have been saying he was abused in every way, mentally and even financially, if the shoe had been on the other foot, but it's not, and nobody's saying anything apart from a very few people. And then you're being attacked for it, really. Terrible.
Which
Exactly.
is insane, because we're not going to make progress, and this is going to continue the cycle unless we start speaking out about mental illness, especially with women, and making sure that their children are being taken care of.
Do you know H.G. Tudor on YouTube? He uploaded a video. He covers Harry and Meghan. I think it's brilliant. But he uploaded a video on munching by proxy, and it's got nothing to do with the Watts case at all. But I watched that video and I was like, whoa. When I've seen it, I thought that describes SW.
Did you say that's another one of H.G. Tudor's?
Yeah, H.G.
Yes.
Tudor. And I was like, I couldn't believe it, how it talked about doctor shopping, and it talked and munching by proxy is narcissistic personality goes along in hand with that, which I really do think SW was a narcissist.
Well, and I don't even like the N-word, quite frankly, because I think that it's getting thrown around.
Yeah.
People are trying to call Christopher Watts the N-word and Cindy Watts the N-word. They're the furthest thing from a narcissist.
When people say that, I'm like, I don't see it.
It wasn't Chris.
I don't see that in Chris Watts at all.
Yeah, neither do I. It wasn't them posting videos every single day, attention seeking about anything.
I was told by somebody who claims that they've seen the file, but I don't know. This is what I was told, that she was Munchausen by proxy.
I can believe that. Yeah.
I think it was bipolar, Munchausen by proxy, narcissistic personality disorder, and that she was not allowed to be alone with the children, that she was not allowed to drive anywhere with the children, she was not allowed to travel anywhere with the children, and she was not allowed.
Which makes sense why I was always confused why she always had people with her when she flew places.
And she was also not allowed to take the children to medical care. Without, she had to either be with Christopher Watts or with somebody else. And think about it. Look at how many times they said Christopher Watts took time off work because the kids were sick. I don't remember my husband ever taking a day off work because the kids were sick.
Why would he need to take time off work if the kids were sick?
Sorry,
If they were critically ill in hospital and really poorly, you'd understand why he'd rush out of work. But
Right.
But they weren't. So I don't understand why he had to come out of work when she was at home.
Right. Unless she wasn't allowed to take the kids to the doctor.
Exactly. I think she doctor shopped. I really do. Really, I do. And I mean, I don't know what it's like over in the States, but does a doctor recommend that people move states to help with illnesses? No. I mean, that's always,
no, they don't.
That's always just been baffling to me. Like, a doctor could
recommend
to move states. Some people don't have the money. They obviously didn't have the money.
There's no way a doctor said. There's no way a doctor said to move to a different state for her health challenge. There's no way.
Nah, I don't believe that either. I really, really don't. And I'm just looking at my email here. NA, I mean, she was so worried about SW that she was passed out. If I thought my friend was passed out in the house, I would have smashed my way into the house. And if she was so worried, why take a 16-year-old and 2-year-old there? It's just, and he found that phone really fast. I'm just reading through this. And he mentioned the bed sheets. And I don't understand, like, how he knew what bed sheets they had and why.
Well, back to what you said, Welsh, about the being passed out. If you thought at 7 or 7:30 or 8 or 8:30 or 9 or 9:30 or 10 o'clock in the morning that your friend might be passed out and in a diabetic coma or some kind of bullshit, you would be on it immediately because there were 2 little girls there.
Exactly.
And so if you honestly believe she's passed out from something and the girls aren't running around, of course she would have known the girls would have been locked in their rooms.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the whole thing, were Bella and Cece supposed to stay locked in their rooms until 1:30?
It's so bizarre. It's so bizarre. It's like, and if she was so worried, I mean, I don't understand why she's so worried that she was passed out in a diabetic coma or whatever, but yet she was never diagnosed as being diabetic. So what would make her think that?
Was she supposed to? Also, was she supposed to be there to drive the girls to daycare that morning?
Exactly.
And why would she say? Was she going to be arrested? Did she somehow? Yeah. Was she worried that she was going to get in trouble if something happened? Was she the caregiver at that point?
Exactly. She was meant to be looking after her, and she apparently wasn't there, or should have been there. If she was being paid to be there and wasn't there, she would have some responsibility on her shoulders. Hello.
Sorry. I'm muting and dropping the link. Sorry about that. Well, and I think if she was a paid caregiver, then all of the things that don't make sense would make sense.
Yeah.
If she was a paid caregiver, then she wouldn't know for sure how old she was. She wouldn't invite her to her wedding. Yeah. She would have gotten married when she was on a 6-week vacation from having to be a paid caregiver. She would have been right on the phone first thing in the morning if she was supposed to be taking the girls to daycare. Okay? I mean, everything makes sense if she was a paid caregiver, and she would have maybe been afraid. And who knows? I don't know. I wonder about something, and this sounds really dumb, you guys, but it's an honest question. Do you think they ever give dogs like heavy-duty pills like that Oxy, whatever? Because remember how she said the dog had some kind of pain thing?
I know that they give in England anyway. They give the dogs what's it called? It's an anxiety.
Like Xanax or something?
Yeah, it's like that. Diazepam. They give dogs diazepam here in the UK. I know that.
Because I was told that while she was living in North Carolina before they went to Colorado, that she was supposedly known as a seeker, meaning that she would go to different hospitals and stuff trying to get pain meds.
I wouldn't put it past her.
I wonder if she took the dog to the vet, wondering if she could get some Oxy.
Yeah,,, get Dee to some surgery to get him some Oxy. You know,
Carol says her brother works at a vet, and he said that they get very good pain meds.
Oh, very interesting. It's just, and another thing that I was wondering about is, do you know NA? It was the son that picked them up from the airport, wasn't it, and dropped them off at the airport. Yet she didn't mention that in to the police.
Well, that's what that banana channel said, but I don't know.
I don't know either.
NA, I think, said that she drove her.
Yeah. It's. I think she knows a lot more than what she
I do
lets
too.
on. And do you know what really bugs me about NA is she's on social media. After the tragedies, she accepted the max amount of friends on Facebook that a profile can accept. And they weren't from people she knew, they were from strangers. And now she's on YouTube making videos. I miss my best friend. Stop asking us questions. I wish people would stop asking us questions. Well, you were involved in a case that there's a lot of questions that's unanswered. If you don't like it, get off social media. And she's on. She's got cancer, but she was on these apps that is asking for donations for like food and travel and stuff like that. Now, if she's successful, why is she doing that? She seems to be profiting off this whole case as well. And using Thrive while pregnant and Thrive, going through, I don't know if she was using it through cancer treatment as well, is just bizarre. It's
well,
really bizarre.
I hope that whatever she knows that hasn't been told yet, I hope she tells it.
I don't think she will, because I think it'll incriminate her. I really do. And she says her son could see the car seats in the car. Now, how high the windows were in the car garage, if you look through them windows, would you be able to see the back seat of the car? Because
it
the
doesn't
windows
seem
were very,
like it,
very
does it?
No,
I would love it if she would answer the question, what did she think when she was told to check the knives? What was her thought process? And also, if she would answer the question, what was it she thought she was going to be arrested for?
Exactly. And the fact that she didn't even say, why do I need to check the knives? Or, oh my God, why should I check the knives? Like, is just baffling. There must have been some sort of history there of check the knives because something's happened before. And the fact that she wasn't shocked that she was asked to check the knives just backs that up even more.
Exactly. Well, maybe when that one nurse friend moved right in, maybe the pay started, and maybe from that point forward, they were checking the knives regularly. I don't know.
I mean, and how would a friend, if it was just a friend, know how many knives their friend has? Like, I don't know how many knives are in my friend's drawer, and I'm sure they don't know how many's in mine. So
exactly. That's a really good point. Like, check the knives for what? Is she supposed to count them? Did they only have a few? Did NA know how many should be there? I mean, something's weird with the knife situation.
Yeah, and it's not just one thing that's weird about the knife situation. There's loads of things weird about it. Like we've just pointed out, it's just the whole thing is so bizarre. What I find bizarre is how SW is being made into this saint, and it's quite clear by her own posts on Facebook that she was far from it.
Oh. Did you say being made to be perfect?
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I don't know if I've muted myself. I'm not very good with technology. I'm so sorry. I just said it's ridiculous how SW is being made into like a saint.
A saint. Okay. Yeah, I didn't hear you.
And she was far from it. It was.
I think that's really interesting how that what I call the virtue signaling, right? Oh, she was pure, she was perfect, she was this, she was that. It's like, are you kidding me?
Exactly.
Are you kidding me? The way she treated Bella alone is enough that people should be saying, what the hell was going on in that house? And whether or not Christopher Watts did what he said he did, what he pleaded guilty to, whether or not he actually did, I personally don't think he did. But
neither do I.
That whole thing of elevating her to sainthood, are you kidding?
Exactly. And he confessed, look at how many people have confessed to things they haven't done before. It happens all the time.
And I always ask, well, which confession do you want to believe? I mean, it makes no sense. They don't want to believe anything he says unless it's
their narrative.
You're exactly right.
Yeah. And like the fertility issues, what was she actually diagnosed with fertility issues? Like, why and what? And if she was, why? What gave that diagnosis? Because you've got to be trying for so long before you're diagnosed with fertility issues. Or did she just pick up on now I've got fertility issues, now I've got, like, since I've got lupus? She didn't have.
Well, fertility doctors do not start fertility treatments until you've been trying for a year.
Exactly. And then
they were only married 4 months when she got pregnant.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, I went through IVF in 2007. Well, actually, I say IVF. I was put on injections first, and they don't just go straight in with that. Not in the UK anyway. They don't go straight in with artificial insemination. They'll give you injections to try and start your periods and release eggs if you've got eggs. But I just don't think she had fertility issues at all. I really don't.
Yeah, I think three claims. Well, she claimed 3 pregnancies in 5 years.
That's not fertility issues. No way.
Yeah, getting pregnant 4 months after the wedding, I don't think that's fertility issues. I think it's another lie.
Yeah.
And I think they figure they can keep lying and lying and lying and lying, and we're all going to go, oh, she had fertility issues. Ah.
There's that. I think they just tell that many lies. They just try and confuse people who is looking for the truth, and all the drama that they're creating. I honestly think it's to stop, like, the likes of, like, your channel and other people talking about the case, to just talk about the drama.
Yeah.
Like, I really do. It's bizarre. And
Carol says she saw a commercial about fertility issues.
Carol's got fertility issues now.
So SW saw a commercial and she said, oh boy, yeah. Because remember that Jeremy Lindstrom interview, he said sometimes it seemed like all she had to do was see a commercial and she'd claim that helped.
But what the list that she had, I mean, it was just, and was it celiac disease she had? Well, didn't she say at one point, I wish people would stop telling us what to eat? And somebody had put in a comment, well, they're only looking out for you. If she really had allergies to food, she wouldn't eat it because it would make her ill.
Exactly. If she was gluten intolerant, then she was gluten intolerant.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think she had different diseases on command. Like, I think she had really bad days, and I think she had really hyper days. I think a lot of people say that they think she was bipolar. I think she was schizophrenic.
Now, I really don't think she was schizophrenic. I was diagnosed with schizoaffective disorder back in, it's been at least 10 years now, which is symptoms of schizophrenia and bipolar. And with schizophrenia, you'll have auditory or both, and hallucinations and auditory, hear things. And with bipolar as well, you'll have up days and down days. But again, with the mental health, she didn't miss anything she planned. And anyone that's suffers with
we don't know, though. We don't know if she missed anything.
She didn't miss anything that she posted she was going to anyway.
But we don't really, we don't know. And I would say she was probably a total liar, too.
Yeah, that's what I think she is. I think she is a pathological liar, and I do think she had narcissistic personality disorder, which
she posted in a support group wanting to find out about hearing voices and seeing people who weren't there.
Do you think that she claimed these illnesses to get on disability, to try and get on disability?
Well, then she corrected herself really fast to say that she was asking for her daughter.
But our daughter was only, they're only kids.
I think she asked for herself, and I think that she changed it quick so that she wouldn't be revealing.
It's just so bizarre. You just don't know what to think because there's that much things that don't add up, and our own behaviour doesn't add up, and the things she said doesn't add up.
I think she was kept in that main floor room, I said that backwards. I think she was kept in that main floor room, and I think that she had a lot of medications, and I think that she probably had a lot of days in a row where she just laid around and did nothing. And then I think on her updates, I think she was into doing the whole video thing and pretending like she was some hot shot.
But didn't NA say that she posted every day on Facebook?
Well, but you know what? We've been lied to so many times.
Yeah. True. It's just, there's so many lies, and then you go mad when you try and get to the bottom of the lies. I don't think they want you to get to the bottom of these questions because it'll show SW and the true like that, you know.
Right. I think we've already landed on the truth, and I think they want to just kind of keep on attacking us so that they hope nobody hears us.
Yeah, I do think that they're causing all this drama just to not see. So we talk about drama and not about the actual case.
Yeah.
It's and another thing that was interesting is his son, and NA says, I thought it was really strange how, you know, the bed sheets weren't on the bed, they were just on the floor. Well, what happens if she was taking the bed sheets off the bed to be washed and they were just on the floor? Because I know I've done that. I don't know what was so strange about not having bed sheets on the bed, and how the hell would a 16-year-old kid know what bed sheets were meant to be on an adult?
Well, remember that banana channel? They said that in the phone that her phone number was listed in her phone as mom's work.
Yeah.
I think it was her job. I think she was a paid caregiver. And I think the morning of the tragedy, she maybe was supposed to be there, and I don't know.
But I don't know. I think she knows a lot more than what she claims. And people say, well, it could have been just put under Mum's work because she was selling Thrive, but you would think it would be under Mum's friend if it was a friend.
Sorry, but in MLM, I don't know anybody who signs up for any MLM who calls it work.
Is it really work? I'm sure you get paid from work and you don't pay to go to work. It's just bizarre. Oh, I think I've hit me. Can you hear
Cecile says delusion, illusion, and make-believe.
It really is. It really is.
Pink Ladybug says, or laying in the sun. Exactly.
Exactly. I mean, people with lupus are not supposed to go in the sun. I mean, it's so bizarre. It makes me head spin. It really, really does. All these illnesses she said she had, yet. Oh my God. I mean, there was no hardware either in the autopsy, and if she'd had surgery for DDD, there would be.
I thought there was hardware, but I don't think they mentioned the scar. And people were saying, well, you know, I think there were probably a couple different discoveries floating around, but people were saying, why is it listing hardware, but it doesn't list the scar?
Yeah, and the scar is in the wrong place for that type of surgery anyway. That scar
and also, they listed allergies too. I thought was funny because that's not something usually an autopsy picks up on.
Exactly. Why would they be testing for allergies in an autopsy? It's just bizarre. It really, really, really is.
Well, I think somebody told them, "Oh yeah, the kids had allergies."
Yeah.
You know. But that's not what you expect from an autopsy, is to have a mention of allergies, unless there's actual physical evidence.
The positive an allergy. If they positive of an allergy, you know, maybe check for that allergy if it was suspected they passed of that allergy. But you wouldn't just think that an autopsy would just check for allergies.
Well, they didn't. Yeah, the way it was told to me is it was just included, like that they were told the kids had allergies, kind of thing. It's like, okay, what else were they told? Were they told she had hardware?
Yeah, exactly. It's so bizarre. Like the way she posted about the kids being sick all the time, they're always sick at the same time. And when she says Bella had diarrhea for like 15 days. Did you miss any daycare in them 15 days? Or when they were at the hospital, did they miss daycare the next day or anything like that? It's
exactly. That'd be really interesting to see the daycare. Yeah, to see how many days.
And if you've got diarrhea for 15 days,
Yeah,
you would
exactly.
be dehydrated. You would need to be
Exactly.
put on a drip. You would
Her,
need
that
to.
little waif of a child wouldn't have been able to have produced 15 days of diarrhea.
Exactly. I mean, she was so thin and pale looking. Honestly, it was heartbreaking to look at her. She just didn't look happy at all. She really, really didn't.
I think that the kids were going to be, I think Christopher Watts and the kids were going to be able to live in the house. And I think that after that ongoing family matter, she was going to have to leave the house.
Yeah.
And I think that's what happened.
It's strange how she says, over you'll never see the kids again. Over my dead body will have set foot in your parents' house, and then a month later, look what happened. It's
exactly. And she said that the girls would never step foot in the house. And she said that when she talked to Christopher Watts about the relationship, that he said he wasn't going to lose the girls. And then remember too, she said, "Would you stay with me if we didn't have kids?" Like, who says that?
It's really, really bizarre. And what I find bizarre is, why would Chris say, "I'm not going to lose the girls"? What would make him think he would lose the girls? Either lose them through the CPS or lose them because SW would take them away from him. And in what kind of way taken away?
Exactly. And is that why he stayed as long as he did? Was he threatened with stuff? Was he afraid of that?
Or I definitely think she blackmailed him with her health and the kids' health mind. I think that's probably one of the reasons he didn't leave beforehand. He was a lapdog. He done everything. He done absolutely everything around the house. Even on his birthday. I mean, his mum found him hanging washing up before it dried too quick.
He did it like he was afraid that the clothes were going to dry before he got it done just right.
Yeah, exactly. It's really, really sad. I wish
Let's be real. Let's be real. He did everything.
Yeah, he did.
She sat on her butt. She did nothing. And she spent money. I got to give her that. She spent money, but that's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
It's just so bizarre. When one thing in this case with the whole SW and the whole, like, one thing leads to another, leads to another, and leads to another, and gives you more unanswered questions. Like when we were talking, saying, she didn't go to the hospital because she was out of network. Well, what did it matter if you were out of network or not? You weren't paying your bills anyway. So what would it matter? Another bill coming in that you're not paying? Wouldn't you rather know that your unborn child is safe? It just, loads of things don't make sense. It's just.
There's no way in hell. There's no way in hell. Well, either she wasn't pregnant, or she wasn't spotting and cramping. One or the other.
Yeah. So it's got to be one or the other, because if you were pregnant and you were spotting and cramping, I don't know any woman who wouldn't go to the hospital. I don't. And
why didn't she go to the doctor?
Exactly. And that was another thing. I mean, didn't she not go to any OBGYN appointments at all and just had a vanity scan to know the gender of the baby? And another thing, she said she was 15 weeks pregnant when the tragedy happened. Now, I know in the UK you can find out the gender at 14 weeks, but how many weeks did she apparently have this gender scan?
Yeah, do you honestly believe they knew the gender?
No, I don't know. I don't.
I
really don't. And do you know, if anything, probably a girl, because she had things listed for girls on Amazon, and she knew Chris wanted a boy, and that was probably just another manipulation tactic to.
Well, she had a baby. She had a baby registry on. Was it Amazon?
I think it was.
And it was for stuff for a baby girl.
Yeah, exactly. I think she just said it was a boy to try and make Chris, happy, or I'm not sure, but I definitely don't think they knew the gender of the baby. But I heard that.
Maybe she was figuring it out. Maybe she was figuring it out because remember she was in that restaurant and she asked that lawyer all about divorce.
Yeah.
The question she was asking about whether or not the custodial parent, the parent who had custody of the children, were allowed to move to a different state. The lawyer explained to her, yes, the parent with custody can move to a different state with permission from the court. And he said that, in fact, his ex-wife and his children lived in a different state. After that, then she supposedly got pregnant.
Yeah.
And
With
he said
fertility
to
issues.
her, he asked her straight out, are you getting divorced? And she answered in the affirmative. He definitely had the impression by her answer that she was getting divorced.
Exactly. So she knew that relationship was over. And I think she controlled CW so much. She wanted total control over him, whether she was with him or not.
Well, or she may have just been a mental, and she may have just, could be.
There's something not right with that.
I'm gonna mute for a second. Welsh, will you do me a favor and talk for a few minutes?
Oh no.
I'm gonna run out to my car quick and grab something.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll be back.
I can't see the chat, but I'll talk so people can answer in the chat. Okay.
Okay. Let's see. Kay Cooper, Tamara, Samantha. Anyone want to hop on with Welsh for a few minutes?
Yeah,
that'd be
please
fun.
Someone come up.
I just have to run outside for a minute. Sorry, you guys.
No bother.
If anyone wants to hop up fast. Nobody's hopping up.
Oh, it's okay. I'll just ramble a bit. I'll read some of these points in the email.
Okay, I'll be right back.
Okay. Okie doke. I don't. Can the chat here is okay? I'll ask some questions that I've. So, does anybody in the chat think that she had fertility issues? I don't think she did personally. I don't think anyone with fertility issues gets pregnant 3 times within 5 years. And the high risk pregnancy, I just, again, spotting and cramping. I think even if you weren't in a high risk pregnancy and you were spotting and cramping, you'd think you would go to the doctors or the emergency room or a hospital and see someone about that. And then the fact she didn't and she's high risk just adds a lot of question marks, in my opinion. Let's have a look at this email. I've written a few things down in an email to Miss Mensa. The neck surgery, and he says it was for degenerative disc, but our parents didn't know what it was for. And Chris never mentioned the scar on the neck either. When the police asked about any scars, he just mentioned the scar on her forehead, which was very minor. You would think that if he was going to mention any scars, it would be from a serious surgery, like for a degenerative disc. Very, very strange. Very strange indeed. So, let's have a look. Yeah, and her son found that phone pretty fast, didn't he? Was it something like within a few minutes of entering the house, he found that phone in the sofa? Really strange. Do you know what always got me about him? He's a 16-year-old child, and the way he acted with the police was just far too confident. He asked the policeman, "Do you remember me?" Okay, which I found strange, and someone pointed out that the police were in a school, so that's where the police would have recognised him from. Right, fair enough, the police might have been at the school, but there's more than him that goes to that school. There's lots of children go to that school. Why would the police remember him out of a classroom full of kids? And the policeman says, yeah, he did remember him, which I thought was strange. He seemed to take control as well, I thought, wandering about the house like they owned it, walking into Nate's house. I thought that was strange how confident a 16-year-old was acting around the police. Very strange. And another, I just don't know why any took our kids to the house anyway. Took a 16-year-old there when she thought, you know, SW was passed out of a diabetic coma or whatever. But then she also took a 2-year-old there, which you don't know what you're walking in on. And I wouldn't want to be taking my 2-year-old there if there was somebody passed out. Well, there we go. You know, the oxy that was in the basement, does anyone know if that was ever looked at to see if there was a name on it? The bottle of oxy that was in the was it in a see-through box in the basement? Does anyone know if there was any names on that? Because I know when we get things prescribed in the UK, it normally comes with a sticker on with your name on. I don't know if it comes with your address on. But it normally has a name on it of the person whose prescription it is. I wonder if that had a name on it. That would be interesting. But if anyone is interested in the Munching by Proxy video that HG Tudor, Knowing the Narcissist, on YouTube, he's really good. He covers Harry and Meghan. And he's a self-confessed narcissist, and I think he says he's a psychopath as well, but actually he's really likable. I'm talking
back.
about HG Tudor. Hi.
I just heard that part, and I think he said he's a psychopath too.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but I'm sure he said he's a narcissist and psychopath, but he seems to be the only likable narcissist and psychopath around. But I'm probably different dealing with him in real life, but he's quite likable on YouTube, to be honest.
I love the way he talks about Harry's wife.
Yes, I do. He is funny. He is really, really funny. I do like it.
Yeah, he's like, well, you know, you might think that she would care, but she wouldn't care because we don't care if we hurt your feelings. You know?
Yeah, and then he'll say about Harry, come on, ginger bollocks, come and do this, or whatever. It's so funny because you could imagine us snapping at him like that. It's just, oh, God. But when she called the wedding, she said in the opera interview, oh, yeah, that spectacle wedding was for the public. Yeah, that £32 million spectacle that the taxpayer paid for.
I like the way he talked about that cover on Time magazine.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, I can't even tell if Harry has legs.
He looks like a hairstylist. Look at my beach waves.
Oh, yes, that's right. He said that. Do you like your hair, ma'am?
Yeah.
I know, he's really good.
Yeah. Harry's wife was under the M in the E in time, and Harry was like under the 0. Oh, honestly, you know, when I first seen that engagement interview of Harry and Meghan, I said to me granddad, I said, there's something not right about her, you know. There's something not right.
Well, it was her fake smile, and she kept looking at him. She kept staring at him. Yeah. And then she had his hand over in her lap, you know. You could tell she was giving him signals like, you better say you love me, act like you need me, you know.
The death grip.
Yes, she wouldn't let go of him.
No, she still doesn't. And you know, if you Google on YouTube the Sussex claw, that's scary. There's someone done a video with his hand of hers. And I mean, have you seen some of the when they're out and about, she literally elbows him out the way to get in front of him to get.
I loved that time when they were walking into the one exhibit, and Prince Charles said, "No, it's for senior royals only," and she was pissed.
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely. Oh, and then they just lurked about in the background like a bad smell. They didn't even go over to the table because I don't even think they were meant to be there.
Right, and now all of the sugars are referring to her as a senior royal. She isn't a senior royal at all, but they keep calling her that, and they call her a princess. She isn't a princess.
No, not at all. Do you know what really got me is, I mean, it's so hypocritical. They say like all about the environment. Harry says, be more like a raindrop on the earth as he's jetting about in private jets and
Yes, exactly.
chugging off cars, and it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, they'll fly on a private jet to go appear for 10 minutes somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. And when she went to Harlem, and to reach them underprivileged kids.
Yeah, she's wearing like millions of dollars worth of jewelry and clothes.
Yeah, and then she read our own book, which is terrible. It's written terribly.
Oh, The Bench?
Yeah, from the wench. Oh.
And that's about a father and his son, right?
And that's what I was just about to say. That book is about a relationship between a father and the son. Right, few points. I bet you most of them children don't even have a father figure in the life.
In the home.
Yeah, in the home.
Yeah. So that book
about that.
Exactly. And then also look at how she treats her own father.
Exactly. And look how Harry's treated his.
Exactly.
I mean, he talks about genetic pain. I mean, did Harry's wife not think of any genetic pain she might stir up reading about this relationship between a father and son to underprivileged kids who mightn't have a father in the home, who's living in poverty, and she's dripping in diamonds and designing.
Well, it's kind of like the case of Christopher Watts, the discussion we were just having. It's like, how delusional was Christopher Watts' wife, And it makes you wonder, did Harry's wife even recognize the possibility that the children she was reading that book to may not have seen their father or their mother, one or the other? They may have some kind of difficulty, turmoil, whatever. Their primary caregiver parent may be their grandmother, or maybe an aunt, or something. And then to read that book is like, ouch.
Crazy. She either didn't think of it and was totally, self-obsessed with reading her own book, or she did think of it and just thought, stuff it, I'm going to read it anyway.
Exactly, because it's about her, me, me.
It certainly is.
And Princess Diana could have gone and read anything to anybody, and there was like a magic when she entered the room. She was warm, she was caring, she was very, she was touchy, feely. She would hug people and everything. Harry's wife is not Princess Diana, but for some reason, I think she has that kind of like Christopher Watts' wife's delusion thing going on.
I really think she's delusional as well. I mean, another thing that really baffled me about Harry and Meghan is Harry says, he was angry at the British public for mourning his mother because the British public didn't know her. But then him and Meghan upload all the names of the 9/11 victims on their Archwell website that's data mining people's info. Did he know one person on that list?
So he's angry with the British public for mourning his mother because they didn't even know her?
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds like a totally weird thing to say.
Yeah, that's exactly what he said. He was angry at the British public for mourning his mother because the British public didn't know her. But then he uploads...
Well, then I wonder... Sorry. I wonder if the day they went to that cemetery for their photo shoot, I wonder if all the families of the people who were buried in that cemetery were angry with them for going to their cemetery.
Exactly. And apparently there's talk at the minute about, because they uploaded all the names of the victims of 9/11 on the Archwell website. Well, if you read the small print in the Archwell website, when you go there, they will take all your data that you put in, your email address, and sell it on. So they're profiting from people visiting that site.
So they don't mind at all. They don't mind at all pretending to care about that, right? But
exactly.
the Queen's people can't mourn the loss of Princess Diana. Oh, that makes perfect sense, Harry.
Exactly. And do you listen to Lady C?
Yes.
Yeah, Lady C read out a comment of mine because I'd put, did Harry or his wife...
Oh, good for you!
Yeah, I know, I couldn't believe it.
Which title? I must listen.
Hang on, I think it's... I was so shocked. I sent the link to my sister because she knows I listen to these podcasts and they just roll their eyes at us all the time. And I said, oh my God, I've got a shout out of Lady C. And she was like, oh.
That's really huge to get a shout out from Lady
Yeah.
C.
It wasn't that long ago, actually. It wasn't that long ago. I'm trying to find it. I'll look for it while I'm talking. She read me comment out because I says, did Harry or his wife know even one person that they listed on the Archwell site of the 9/11 victims? And I don't like. Obviously, I don't think they did. But there's I know there was talks about the family of the victims that they named suing them. I don't know how true that is. Suing Harry and Meghan, I don't know how true that is, but it would be interesting to know. They seem to be sue everybody, so I don't see why.
Well, I think the whole Harry and Harry's wife thing is so ridiculous.
Yeah. It's a joke.
It is. And you know, I don't want to talk bad about Princess Diana because I was one of her biggest fans. And like when she died, I was shocked. My kids and I were coming out of the drive-in theater, and I turned on the radio and I heard the news that she had been in a car accident, and I stayed up. I mean, I'm sure my kids stayed up too. It was the last week before school started, and so they didn't have school the next day. But I remember going to the store and getting a new television for being ready for the funeral. I wanted a bigger television.
Yeah. It was huge. I mean, it was absolutely huge here in the UK when she died. It was over every news channel, and you know, people lined the streets to support Harry and
William, and the way they walked, the brother, the father, you know, what's his name, Charles, I think is the brother. And
Andrew and Charles.
Was Andrew too? Or, no, it was Philip.
No, I don't think it was. Yeah, Philip.
I don't think Andrew was. I think it was the grandfather. Because didn't he say, was it to William or Harry? One or the other said they didn't want to walk. I think it was William.
Yeah, it was William who didn't want to walk, and Harry wanted to. So
Prince Philip said that he would walk with him. I think when William said he didn't want to, and Prince Philip told him he would walk alongside him.
Yeah, So which just makes his comment even more bizarre when he says, he resented the public for mourning his mother because they didn't know her, but yet he opted to walk behind, a coffin in the street. He didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
You know, it's there's so much hypocrisy going on in this world. It's just
I think Harry using the whole mental illness thing, the claims that were made on Oprah about racism and everything. I mean, it's all just so sad. And I think Princess Diana would be so disappointed with what's going on. So disappointed. But here's the thing.
Ashamed of him. I really do. I think she would be absolutely ashamed of the way he's went on.
She'd be livid. She would be taking him by the collar and saying, "Look, boy, this is how you're gonna realize this girl is gonna shape up or she's gonna ship out."
Exactly. You know what really is just mind-boggling as well about them two is Harry and I honestly don't. If anyone says, "I wonder who we'll take after," I don't think it was said as in like being racist. It's only natural to wonder who your baby's going to look like. I mean, I'm pregnant now, and me and my boyfriend will say, "Yeah, I wonder who I shall have. I wonder what she'll look like."
Exactly.
There's a big difference. There's a big difference.
Well, and
is Nazi uniform? That was.
And it's interesting when you think about it. There's another one. Let's see. There's Murky Meg. There's According to Taz.
Yankee Wally, she's really good.
Yankee Wally, she's really good. And then that P. Dina.
Yes, I love her. She's great. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. If Meghan has the opportunity to be biracial, okay, in the position as whatever she is of wherever, if that's her, if that's what she's going to be making accusations about against the royal family, then why is she constantly trying to appear a different way? There's a total hypocrisy. Do not straighten your hair. Do not lighten your skin. Do not get plastic surgery. or
Exactly.
Botox or whatever else. Don't do it. You should be looking.
Yeah,
Be
and I mean,
looking like
straight,
P.
yeah,
Dina.
exactly.
You know how P. Dina lets her hair go natural?
Yeah,
I think Harry's
and
wife should be letting her hair go natural, letting everything
exactly.
go natural,
Yeah.
and then be a true leader and inspiration, right? If she wants to go ahead and use that as her big deal about how racist the royal family is,
Yeah.
right? Baloney.
And then she gets hair extensions. What is from Caucasian hair anyway, because it's straight, it's
Exactly.
not Afro hair. And
So who's the racist?
the way that
Who's
hair,
the racist?
exactly, and the way that hair is is got by people is from underprivileged women, or it's from women who literally rake through rubbish tips and get it, and then it goes to factories and it gets made into hair extensions. Like it's not ethically sourced. Like you
Well,
just become humanitarian.
I donated 12 inches of my hair when I got my hair cut
Oh wow, that's
to
amazing.
the what's it called? Does
Is it
anyone
like
in
a
chat
cancer
know?
charity?
Yes. Love Locks or something like that. What's it called, you guys?
Oh, we've got a different one in the UK here. I had Hodgkin's lymphoma back in 2006, and I lost all my hair. And there was a lot of people donating hair and stuff and giving it, to wig shops.
And then they made
wigs.
wigs.
Yeah,
they made wigs
amazing.
and flips and stuff.
Yeah.
Locks of Love. Thank you, Cosmo. Oh, thank you, Patty. Yeah, I donated 12 inches, and they said I have virgin hair, which is cool.
Yeah, that's really
at my age to have virgin hair.
Yeah.
Because I don't color and I don't perm.
Mm-hmm.
And I have fine hair, but it's thick, so it's kind of unusual. It's not. I mean, I don't know if it's unusual, but anyway. So if I were to ever learn that my hair was somehow acquired by somebody who's trying to put, Caucasian extensions, because I'm 99.9% Caucasian, then I don't know how anyone can be 99.9% Caucasian. I think you either are or you're not, But that would irritate me to think if that hair goes anywhere other than to help people who are able to wear, because that would be so much nicer to have a natural wig, a wig that's made from natural. I
know, she's just honestly like the way Harry and Meghan go on. It's like they want everybody else to don't go on holiday, be more like a raindrop on the earth, and then they just do the opposite to what they say. I can't believe that.
I know it. They have no clue how they appear, I think, and they don't care.
No, they don't. I really don't think they care. But Lady C, she's very careful with what she says. I think she's great, and she's very careful with what she says.
I like the way she says it. She'll say, "I'm going to protect my money. I'm not going to say something about this because I don't want to be sued."
Yes, but do you know the way Lady C says things? She says things without actually saying it, and I think,
I know. She'll say, "What's the dog's name?" I can't think.
Oh, Mikey.
Is it Mikey?
Mickey? Yeah, Mickey.
Oh, Mickey. What do you think, Mickey? Should we get started? Yes, let's get started. Yeah. We'll jump right in.
Just jump right in. And honestly, Lady C's laugh is so contagious. Even when I was sat on my own, when she burst out laughing hysterically, I can't help but smile myself. But she was on the jungle over here.
She comes across a funny. Yeah, when she comes across a funny one, she'll just be like, "Oh my!"
You would think
you're being naughty.
You would think, oh, it's this posh woman living in a castle wearing pearls. You would think, you would automatically not like someone like that. But
I know. I didn't like her for a few days.
Yeah.
Actually, a couple weeks, I stopped listening to her because she was saying some things against the United States. Like, Yeah, she said something one day that I thought, well, don't do that, you know, because I like her. So I thought, don't cut down the United States. And then a couple times, you know, a couple days later, because I always listen to her, always. And a couple days later, she said some more crap about the United States. And I'm just like, okay, stop it. Because I think she has such an anti whatever, you know, Harry's wife attitude that I think she's kind of like lumping us all together. And then she made some kind of crap remark about I think Afghanistan or Iraq or something. I thought, okay, that's it, enough. So I stopped listening to her for a couple of weeks.
I haven't listened to her for a couple of days. Some of the stuff she rambles on a little bit too much, but I like hearing her. I like hearing her bitch about Harry's wife and the things she says without actually saying it. I think Lady C knows a lot more than what she says.
Oh, she does, because she knows a lot of people, and she actually met Diana. You know, she actually knew Diana, I think, a lot more than a lot of people did.
Yeah. I mean, she says Diana wasn't perfect, which she wasn't. I mean, she used to phone the paps and stuff and let them know where.
You know, Diana had a lot of really good fans and everything, and I was one of her most avid fans. But in her last couple of years of her life, she lost favor with a lot of us. Yeah. Like her biggest fans, we were all kind of going like, okay, yeah, okay, because she really did a few screw ups, you know, and even then, it wasn't like anyone felt really angry with her or anything.
Yeah.
But her daughter-in-law, her son's wife, she's just like, it just seems like, how can she be, I don't know.
What do you think with the whole surrogacy thing? I think she used a surrogate. I really do.
I do too. Yeah. I don't think she carried the babies.
No, I don't. I really, really don't.
The whole bump thing. Yeah, nah.
Did you see the way it swayed in that black and white dress?
Well, she was thin one day and not the next, you know?
It's just bizarre. It literally, she was walking towards the camera. There's a video of it in this black and white, like flowery dress, I think it was, or swirly dress. And she's walking towards the camera, and the bump is going shoo, 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 from one side to the next. Honestly, you could get seasick watching it. It was just bizarre. Really, really bizarre.
And her, I don't know, you know how a mother's body kind of changes a little bit after?
Yeah.
And I'm not sure. I think it was Lady C. It might have been Murky Meg. I can't remember. I think it was Lady C was saying how she's added a few pounds.
Yeah.
But I don't think you add a few pounds this long after the delivery.
Exactly.
You know, I mean, none of that makes sense.
But if she was taking hormones to breastfeed, she would.
I highly doubt she would ever breastfeed. She doesn't seem to me to be breastfeeding material.
Did she say on stage at one point? I don't know if she said. I think she said it was feeding time. I don't think she says it was. I don't think she mentioned she was breastfeeding. But if that came out that she's that it was a surrogate, there would be absolute uproar. But I don't know if you know this. Do you know on the? I don't know if it was the royal families. I think it was the royal families Instagram page, or it was either Royal Sussex Royal Instagram page. It was 3:00 in the morning. A post got put up, and it's been verified. The screenshots of it about saying sorry for the confusion, but a surrogacy was used, and then and then it got took down straight away, and there's a load of people covered it. So,
well, and do you remember how that one? I can't remember who it was. They said that they knew nurses in the hospitals in that area.
Yeah.
And there was no baby born, evidently. Yeah.
And you know when she said she couldn't get any help for mental health in the UK, it's absolute bollocks because, for one, Harry, Meghan herself, William and Kate work with Heads Together, which is a charity for mental health. She could have.
Well, there you go. And I'm sorry, but if a woman needs to have counseling or any help whatsoever, when did it become her husband's responsibility?
Exactly.
And how on earth does it make any sense on any planet to go to human resources to say she needs a counselor?
Even better, a midwife, if she literally got, if she was pregnant, get a midwife, would be asking, how are you feeling? And the midwife has a duty of care to know how the mother's mental health is and ask, how are you feeling? She could have a midwife, a doctor. She could have she could have walked into A&E because they've got mental health services. She could have rang a local crisis team. Didn't she have a GP? She had avenues and avenues to go down to get help.
Three of a Kind makes a good point. She says her own mother is a social worker, we're told, and supposedly a trained mental health professiontional.
Yeah, don't give them.
I knew she was a yoga teacher. I didn't know she was actually. I don't know. I'm curious what her mother's education is.
I think she is. I don't think she's not a registered nurse, but I think she is trained as social worker. But she's got a care home that accepts cash. And apparently her mum had said to Megan or somebody, I don't know who it was, Yankee Wally covers it and so does Murky Meg, and mum had said this about the old people, don't give the milk away for free to the old people. I mean, that's terrible. That's terrible.
Yeah, that's a stupid old saying.
It's terrible. It's just, Miss Mentor, I'm going to have to dash.
Okay.
It's 1:30 in the morning here. I've got to be up early.
Yes, and Tamara just said need to call it a night all. I think, we've been on for almost 3 hours, but I'm so glad you hopped right up on the piano.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much for having us. No, thank you so much for having us, and thanks for reading out my email. I've got loads more points, but when I've come up on here, my mind went blank. I should write them down and come up next time. So sorry.
Well, I'm really glad that you hopped up. I love the way you think, and of course, we don't have to agree on everything, but the funny thing when I read your email, we do agree on everything.
Yeah, exactly. But thank you so much for having us up. I really, really appreciate it.
That's sweet. Thank you so much.
All right, I'll see you later. Bye, chat.
See you soon.
Bye.
Okay, guys, let's go ahead and call it a night. We'll get our beauty sleep now that we have, all the latest dish on Harry's wife and, the whole V or not to be. To be or not to be, right? Maybe next time we can talk more about Princess Kate, because I think she is the class act of England, let me tell you. I think she is, so pretty, so smart. I think she's a great mother. Just look at the way she is with her children. Oh, my goodness. And I think that she and her husband actually have a very solid, healthy relationship. Maybe we'll dish about that the next time. Yes, thank you so much, Welsh, for hopping up on panel. Very interesting, very interesting. We covered a lot of ground, didn't we? We covered a lot of ground. So I guess a shout out for Lady C, a shout out for Murky Meg, P. Dina, and that River guy too. I'm sorry, did I use the wrong? I'm not sure which pronoun, but River's cool too. And Yankee Wally, I love her. She's probably my favorite, quite frankly. So everybody have a wonderful night, morning, afternoon, whatever time it is, wherever you are. We'll do this again, probably next weekend. So have a great week. Everyone be safe, be healthy, and I want you all to know that you are loved.